You're listening to the official Push Square podcast featuring Ben and Ben. Do you push square?
Hello everybody and welcome to the Push Square podcast, episode 14. My name's Ben Potter, I'm the podcast editor for the best PlayStation website on the internet, pushsquare.com, and joining me as always, even though it's only been 14 times, is Ben Tarrant. Hello Ben.
Hello Ben.
Improved mic quality this time?
Yes, briefly.
Yeah, well, briefly.
Briefly, let's see if I can actually get hold of one. I've got one on loan at the moment.
Oh yeah, true, that's true. It sounds alright though.
Yeah. It's a cool little thing, a snowball.
Snowball. How are you doing though? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm alright actually. I'm glad it's started to get a bit cooler.
Oh yeah, same. I hate
very much done with the heat.
Yeah.
How are you?
Absolutely. Yeah, fine. I'm just kind of annoyed, Tarrant, that when did we do the podcast? It was like 2 or 3 days before the PlayStation meeting.
It's like 2 days before, yeah.
Yeah, so we missed out on everything. So we're going to be discussing that this week, as well as various news points. The big review this time is Destiny Rise of Iron, which has just come out. Associate Editor Robert Ramsey is back again to talk to us about that. Obviously, he hasn't had it very long, so he doesn't have a review yet, but he can discuss his thoughts at the very least. Indie Bin this week. Yeah, exactly. Indie Bin this week is Dear Esther, which has just been released on PS4. And then we're going to have a What Are We Playing section, a few questions, and then wrap it all up.
Little bow.
A neat little bow. Everyone else is at EGX this week.
Screw him.
Which is disappointing because I really wanted to go. But it's the first time in 6 years that I've not gone.
Really?
Yeah. I've been I went 5 years in a row, and then this year's the first time.
Wow. I haven't been since it moved to Birmingham.
Yeah, because effort, right?
That's far. I liked it when I used to have to get one train.
Well, yeah, if it's not simple for you, you're just not going to bother, are you?
It's not in London, I'm not going.
It's just how it works. Right, shall we move on?
Let's crack on.
News. First up, Mr. Tarrant.
Persona 5?
Surprise, surprise, Persona 5. It's just come out in Japan, and it's the fastest selling Persona game in 20 years.
Way.
Which is not surprising. It's not surprising, because it's going to be amazing. I don't actually know what the Japanese reviews are saying about it at the moment. But
I haven't seen any.
It's a good sign that it's very popular, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to get that special edition, you know.
The fancy one. Deep Silver's publishing it, aren't they?
In the UK, yeah. In Europe, so I think I might go for that. I actually got a tax rebate this week.
I saw, you lucky thing.
Paid too much tax, so I've put some of that money aside, and I might treat myself to a nice version of Persona 5.
Why not?
The default version is the Steelbook, though, which is nice anyway. Yeah,
it's a nice touch.
But yeah. Anyway, what's next?
Next up, Warhammer End Times Vermintide, which is a mouthful and a half.
Yeah, that really is.
That rocks up onto PS4 in autumn. They haven't given us a concrete date yet, but, you know, when the leaves start falling, you can expect Warhammer rats running at you.
Right. Are you a fan of the Warhammer games?
Do you know what? I really, really loved Fire Warrior way back on PC, and then I really enjoyed Space Marine that came out on PS3. I love that, the third-person shooter.
Okay.
But
going to give this a go?
This looks a bit, I don't know, ham-fisted in comparison. It's very clubby. You know, like Skyrim, you just hit it until it drops.
Oh, okay. It's not Warhammer 40,000 then, so no guns. It's...
I don't believe so, because it's the rats, so it'd be the fantasy Warhammer, like just normal Warhammer, because they have to put Warhammer 40k.
Of course. I used to do Warhammer, did you?
Yeah. I wish I could afford it to do it now. I think it's very therapeutic painting them, but it's so expensive.
I never used to play with them, because I think I only knew one other person that had them, but I used to do the Lizard Men, was my one.
Oh, cool. I never played either. I've never understood the tabletop, but I collected.
I like to paint them and like set them up and stuff.
Yeah.
And they look cool. Anyway, that's enough of that nerdy crap. Let's move on to some more nerdy crap. Nier Automata has an auto mode that fights enemies for you.
Automato.
Very good. Why?
Is this just like, we'll play the game for you?
Have we had a reason for this? Or is it just, there's an auto mode, so you don't have to play?
It's for people that aren't that used to like action games.
So you're there for the story?
Just watch a film?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
This
even
is the one
games
with the guy,
that...
He keeps walking up in the big face thing at events, doesn't he?
The massive face thing. I love the massive
guy.
face thing, yeah. It just seems odd to me because games that want to cater for both hardcore fans and fans who just want to experience the story, they don't have an option that you turn on where the game plays itself. They have an option where they just make it really easy.
Yeah.
So that at least you play, you know? I don't know. I don't know about this. That's very strange.
Yeah, it does. It's like training wheels for a game. It's very odd.
Yeah. What's happening on the PS4 Pro?
Obviously, there's a lot of information going around about what games are getting upscaled, getting a PS4 Pro patch, as it's being dubbed. And some people are coming out saying that they will be patching it, others are not. And
yes,
that led people to discuss, well, how much effort does it take to upscale it to a PS4 Pro quality game? Mm-hmm. And they found out that not a lot. Doesn't take much work at all, apparently. I don't want to belittle anybody's hard work, but apparently there's only one chap doing it for Days Gone, which is
Oh, really?
Yeah, that game that's...
Just click your fingers and there you go, PS4 Pro patch.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it sounds. That's obviously game development, right?
Yeah, that's how it works. You just press a button and it makes itself. It's fine. The Witcher 3 is getting a postage stamp in Poland, which is understandable because it's a huge... it's an item of huge cultural significance to the world originating in Poland.
They should be really proud of that. It's a quality game, and CD Projekt Red, as a Polish studio, have really set the gauntlet for how a studio should behave with a big AAA release.
Yeah, they've really put Bethesda on notice. It's for damn sure, so we'll see how they respond to that, presumably by making a game that doesn't run properly.
Yep.
And with a combat system where you just flail.
You just club it until it falls down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, we'll see.
With the pointy end.
Don't get me wrong. I'd be mad for an Elder Scrolls 6, but it's I don't know. The Witcher 3. It's so good. It's so good. It can't be beat. It won't be beat. It won't be beat. But what's Kojima up to?
Every time I hear something about Death Stranding, it reminds me of that time we spoke on the podcast where you were like, it's never going to come out. Mm-hmm. And the more he talks about it now, the more I think it's never going to see the light of day.
Yeah.
But he has said, and this was at the Tokyo Game Show, wasn't it?
Yes.
He announced that it will be due for 2018.
Nonsense. You won't get it until 2020, I promise.
Yeah, I really doubt. It's only just had a confirmed engine.
Yes, they've been working on it for what, like 6 months?
Yeah.
Maximum?
Come on. It's Kojima, so it will take a long time.
Yeah, you're not getting that, and you're not getting that in this decade. I don't think you're going to get it in the decade. When it comes out, we'll lovingly refer to it the decade after as, oh, you remember that game that released in the 20s?
It's even going to... Everybody's focusing on Norman Reedus, obviously having been in that trailer, which technically isn't a trailer, it's a proof of concept. Again, that's taking your turn of phrase there.
Right.
To the point where he said, there's a possible female protagonist.
What?
Exactly.
What does that even mean?
Women in games?
It could possibly feature female protagonists, or a female protagonist, but
he just doesn't know what it is about yet. He's got a concept and he's running with it.
Yeah, he's got this amazing idea that makes no sense to anyone but him, and Sony's just like, oh, here's some money.
They've just latched onto it desperately.
Yeah. See you in 15 years, mate.
It's Andrew House. He's got an absolute man crush on Kojima.
Oh, he absolutely does. Couldn't take his eyes off him in that.
That's such a lovely picture.
In that video. Yeah, it's loving. Speaking of Kojima and things he's not involved in, Metal Gear Solid Survive.
That thing.
That exists. That's a zombie spin-off of Metal Gear Solid or MGS5, where during the ending events of Ground Zeroes, a bunch of Mother Base soldiers get sucked up into a wormhole.
Obviously.
And they get deposited in a place with zombies or something. Now, a lot of people are very furious about this. I can't say I understand why they decided to do it, but equally, I don't think it's going to be that bad.
No,
I looked at Did you see the gameplay?
Yeah, it looks good. I mean, I loved Call of
co-op.
Duty Zombies as well, and it's obviously going to be following in that kind of strain.
Well, yeah, and the best thing about MGS5, and if you ask me, the only redeeming thing about MGS5 was the engine and the gameplay. That stuff was fantastic. And in this, that's all that they've kept. So they'd have been absolutely mad not to use it again in some capacity. And I understand why people are upset because, Konami, go to hell, that kind of stuff. And Kojima's not there, and there's that whole thing with hanging a massive shadow over the whole production. But that gameplay looked all right with the co-op and the four of you sneaking about trying to get stuff and things. It looked fun.
The thing is, people are very defensive of Kojima and anything he's had kind of hands in. Mm-hmm. But you've got to remember that the rest of the team are still there. The majority of them didn't leave to go with Kojima. So this is still going to be very much the life force of Metal Gear Solid. It's just a different take on it. Yeah. They haven't turned it into a slot machine or something, which Konami are very good at doing yet.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and it's going to be a budget game as well. £30 or something when it launches. So whatever, bring it on.
Let it happen.
It's stupid, but why the hell not?
Let it finance the next Metal Gear game without Kojima.
Yeah.
Which you're going to have to come to face. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. I think, honestly, they'll go down the remake path first. I think they'll remake MGS3 or MGS1, or maybe even the original Metal Gear on the MSX.
Yeah.
Because that actually is meant to be the game that MGS5 links to.
Yeah.
But MGS5 just had a massive cock up right at the end and completely the bed. And there were just so many strands left unanswered and more questions raised. And it was, a bit of a nightmare, really. But anyway, that's that. Shuhei Yoshida, Ben.
Is that how you say his first name?
Shuhei. Yeah, how have you been saying it?
Shuey.
Okay, well, we're going to call him Shuey from now on.
Shuey, like Chewy.
No, but yes, keep doing that, please. What's he been saying?
Basically, there was obviously the huff about No Man's Sky, and this hopefully is going to be the last time we mention No Man's Sky on the podcast.
Yeah, fingers crossed, yeah.
But essentially, Yoshida.
No, please call him Shuey.
Shuey. He's come out and acknowledged the issues with the PR and the fact that the PR was being done by the developer himself.
Yes,
and
the lies.
He's acknowledged the lies, and he tactfully said that it could have been handled better, and he understands and respects players' frustrations.
Yeah, but how did no one see this problem arising? Surely they were aware of the state of the game and seeing some of the stuff he was saying? Or maybe they just knew the pre-order figures and just thought, well, this isn't going to affect us at all. It's all going to come down on him. Might as well let him say whatever he wants because we're going to reap the rewards.
And they have.
Arguably, they've got in there, got their money, and now they're out again. Just saying, and now old Shuey has got the gall to sit there and say, yeah, we see where your frustrations lie. It's very much his fault. even though he said it, as you said, very tactfully, he was throwing him under the bus a bit, wasn't he? He was very much distancing Sony from the PR disaster that did involve No Man's Sky. And poor old Beardy McLyman hasn't tweeted in weeks. Yeah, I can't imagine that, because this is the kind of thing. Well, yeah, but I can't imagine the kind of pressure he's under. He's a creative type. I hope he's okay, because I don't wish him ill will as a human being.
Of course not.
But it just clearly should have been handled a lot better.
I think he just got, like I said previously, I think he just got carried away with his baby.
Peter Molyneux. And that bloody acorn. Do you remember that?
No.
In one of the Fable games, he famously once promised, if a player drops an acorn, a tree will grow there in real time.
No, I do remember this.
And I was reading an amazing retrospective on the life and times of that studio. I can't even remember what his bloody studio is called now. Thank you, Lionhead.
Oh, was that the massive Eurogamer article?
Yeah, the Eurogamer article.
Oh, that is a fantastic piece of
was
journalism.
and how they were reacting to, like, when he said that was the first time anyone had heard that, even in his own studio. And they were like, what are you doing, man? What? And then eventually he just sort of, they tried to do it for a bit, and then he just said, oh yeah, well, things changed during development, so, and they just waved it away. But there we go. Molyneux has quite a track record of that, and Beardy McBeardface does not, so hopefully he will live to make another game. And hopefully handle the PR better.
Yes. By giving it to someone else to do it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Letting someone else do it. Finally, and this is going to sound like a bad joke, Ben, but it isn't. The Last Guardian has been delayed to December.
Yes.
Who cares at this point?
I'm not fussed.
Who cares? Even people who are excited for the game have got to think, whatever, just make sure it's out this year.
It will be. It'll be out this year. I mean, we were edging close to the point where a game should be going gold. And we heard nothing. I think it was someone from videogamer.com, David Scammell, tweeted, I wonder if Last Guardian's going gold right now. And I thought, yeah, it probably should be by now, actually. That's a good shout. Yeah. And then, like, 2 days later, it got delayed.
Got delayed. Yeah, I think the only harm that's come of this now is it's just kind of embarrassing for Sony, even more so, because people are just laughing at them about it. And these are people, admittedly, who have no interest in The Last Guardian. And I don't really care about The Last Guardian, but I still don't think it's that funny. I think it's just kind of embarrassing. And clearly, there are situations out of their control that need to be addressed, but I hope that they have a stern word with all involved in the development of this game when it's said and done. Maybe just get this game out the door and just close that studio and just make a new one. Move them into new offices and just say, right, this is a new start. You're a new studio, technically. Please don't do the same thing again. Just make a game in 2 years, 3 years, please.
I just think this is it's fallen victim to someone with more ambition than the machinery that they're working on is capable of. And I think the fact that it's cross generations is going to be hugely difficult as well, because it's not simple to port things.
No, and it's going to be under immense scrutiny anyway, because it's taken so long to release.
Yes.
But I think there was a bit of an uproar this week when it was revealed that triangle would be used to jump in the game. And that's what they used in their other games. And I saw people tweeting, people who are excited for it, big Ico Shadow of the Colossus fans, saying, I would have been disappointed if jump wasn't triangle. Which just goes to show that people are going to throw anything and everything at this game to try and go, this game, huh? What a silly embarrassment it is. That it took so long.
Sony have played the hype train too much with too many games. They've worked that hype train up, and it's under-delivered every time. The hype train can never deliver.
This particular hype train, though, has lost wheels. It's come off the tracks. All the passengers have left, and different passengers have got back on. It's changed operator halfway through the journey. This is a very special kind of hype train, where I think the only people who could possibly be interested in it now are hardcore fans of that studio's earlier games.
I'm really excited for it.
And are you? Okay, yeah. Well, the rest of us, just people. Like with No Man's Sky, are either split between, haha, this game is going to be embarrassing and terrible, whatever, I just hate everything, my life is so terrible, I'm going to laugh at this game. Or the other half is going to be, which I'd like to consider myself in the camp of, similar to No Man's Sky, and what Sammy was saying in the Pushware article about how we're just watching it with just interest, scientific interest, to see how it all goes down and how it turns out.
Just popcorn at the ready.
Kind of, yeah. Just to see what's happening. But anyway, that's all the news we've got. Let's move on to a feature, shall we?
Let's.
This week's feature is the PS4 Slim and the PS4 Pro, which of course are the things that were announced at the PlayStation meeting that we completely missed last episode. The PS4 Pro is what the Neo was going to be called, or is called, the PS4K, what have you. PS4 Slim is going to be the default model of PlayStation 4 moving forward. It's fine. It's smaller, works a little bit faster, in that it doesn't overheat as easily.
Yep.
So it should theoretically be faster. And according to Sammy, it's very, very quiet.
Yeah,
very quiet.
He was almost disconcerted with how quiet it was.
Yeah. Just stare at it like, are you lying to me?
What
are you hiding? But there we go. PS4 Slim, PS4 Pro. I don't really think we need to discuss the Slim. The Pro is the one that everyone's been talking about because it doesn't have a 4K Blu-ray player, which is an issue for a lot of people. Its innards aren't too much better than the Xbox S, and they've still got the Scorpio coming out next year as well.
Well, I'll address that as well. I've been thinking a lot about this. Firstly, addressing the Blu-ray player. The proportion of people that go out and buy and watch Blu-ray films versus the amount of people that rent or buy digital Blu-ray films, digital HD, digital 4K. I heard them say you stream. Like, their response to that was that people stream nowadays, and obviously they've got this partnership with Netflix now to address that.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, codswallop. Everybody wants hard copies still. And I think that's true with games, but I don't think that's true with DVDs, because I can't remember the last time I personally went out to buy a DVD. And in fact, some of the biggest TV and film stuff at the moment, the big stuff is when it comes to things like Sky and Netflix and Amazon Prime and all of that. I think they've built a platform that can cope with the high resolutions of streaming and have saved and shaved money where they don't feel that their majority user base will require it.
I agree. I just don't think the demand will be there for a 4K Blu-ray player. And no. I have spoken to a few people to get their thoughts on it. And there's a wide variety of responses to this. One being that my internet is not going to be good enough to stream 4K films. And if I were to get this, it would not only be for games, but I would want it to be future-proofed as a home entertainment system. So I would want it to play 4K Blu-rays. No, I don't want them now, but if I did get some down the line, I would want my 4K capable console to be able to play those. And I understand that. For me personally, I am not interested in this at all. It's not for me. I don't need it. But on the other hand, someone else said, like you were saying, that I have all of my films on a hard drive or whatever, and I just stream it straight to my TV. In fact, that person, and some people already who have 4K TVs, chances are they're going to be smart TVs. And these smart TVs support Netflix 4K, YouTube 4K anyway.
Yep.
So that renders that bit totally moot.
Yep, exactly.
I haven't spoken to a single person who wants this console yet. But obviously the main point is for the graphical element for the games, not necessarily for the home entertainment stuff. But immediately there are two sources of contention there, two differing philosophies, but neither of them wants the PS4 Pro because of it. So in terms of the games, is there anything there that would pique your interest?
I'll be quite honest with you. An incremental blip on graphical improvement is not of any interest to me, especially at the price of 350 quid. I think 4K gaming for that price is incredible, but I've never longed for 4K gaming.
No.
I'm quite content with popping it in the console, booting it up and being like, wow, this works. I'm not someone that sits there and goes, that game's graphics is terrible, I can't play it.
Yeah, and chances are it's the visual style that counts more than anything else.
Yes, I fully agree. And
when you've got a version of a game that already exists, or at least that is developed natively for the standard PS4, and then has a patch to essentially upscale it to 4K, it's going to look better, but only in the sense that it's going to look sharper. Yes. It's not going to be a better game. It's not going to be a better looking game because this is purely it. It's just about the looks.
Yeah.
And they've got a huge issue already in that you cannot accurately prove to people how much better it is to play on PS4 Pro without seeing it in person.
No,
we can't watch it on a 720p stream at home. I know they did their best with various graphics and things to demonstrate the improvement, but ultimately, it's a console that will support games that have patches for PS4 Pro, and it's not mandatory for studios to support that. And I can't think of any reason, apart from Sony dropping a load of money at their doorstep, for any studios to want to opt into that. What do they get out of it? They can't charge for these things. They've already said they're not going to charge for it.
Yeah.
So what is it? It's a console that exists that I don't really care about. It doesn't. I'm not of the school of thought that I feel insulted as someone who bought a PS4 a few years ago and I'm already being told that it's obsolete. I don't care. That doesn't bother me. If this studio, if the company wants to make this PS4, that's fine. Go ahead. But personally, and having spoken to lots of other people, it doesn't have enough applications for me to warrant buying it. It's just something I can live without. It's the perfect example of a luxury item. It's just not necessary.
I agree, but I also think its role isn't for us being PS4 owners. I don't think it's there for people to upgrade to. That's not its sole purpose. Its sole purpose is to beat Xbox to the 4K punch, because 4K has just been what everybody's been talking about. 4K ability for games has been the next big thing. That and VR. And Xbox has completely tripped on the VR front. So they're now desperately clawing at 4K gaming as an alternative hook to get in new players. Because the idea is they want to sell consoles and they want to own the player base. And the more people they convert to PS4, the less people are going to be buying Xbox games. You know, it just rolls like that. I think this is a brilliant, brilliant hook. That price point for something that does 4K and is compatible with VR, for that, it's just insane.
Well, obviously Microsoft are working on their HoloLens technology at the moment, but it's not quite the same as the VR that the rest of the industry is working on. And whether or not that pans out remains to be seen. But you're right in that sense, in that they don't have a major VR device that's out, this year. And that's going to be affordable, because presumably HoloLens is going to be absurdly expensive.
Well, if HoloLens is in anything of excess of 600 quid, by the time it comes out, you would be a fool not to buy a PS4 Pro and the PSVR, because you get a console with it and you get the headset.
Well, they're already saying that the Scorpio, which releases sometime next year, which is meant to be their proper 4K console, is going to be about that price as well, which obviously is a huge disadvantage as well. And don't get me wrong, I agree in that Sony needed to come out now with a 4K console because they've got pretty much a full year on Microsoft in that regard. But there's been such a weird backlash to the Blu-ray thing and stuff, and just shows generally how fickle people are. It feels like almost a return to sort of 2008 time, where Sony was somewhat of a butt of all the jokes. And then it's fun to start hating on Sony again. I just think that's so strange. Even as someone who doesn't want a PS4 Pro, it doesn't need to exist. It's a clever business decision to have it exist.
Definitely.
But as a player, I feel no obligation to buy one. I don't want one. I don't need one.
Yeah.
So, let it be, as it were. It can be there. That's fine. I don't care. But I don't want one. No. And I don't know anyone else that does.
I fully agree. And the internet just needs something to cry about.
I suppose so. But we'll see how the war of words continues over the next few months because Microsoft executive has already come out and said it doesn't have the innards to properly render 4K or something like that. But again, if we're the Pro, but if
there's a lot of humdrum about that.
If you and I are both saying that really the increase in graphical fidelity isn't enough to warrant a purchase of a PS4 Pro, then would the innards of a PS4 Pro that can assuming that the existing PS4 Pro doesn't actually support full 4K gaming, which let's hope it doesn't, would the price of a PS4 Pro that has the innards to properly fully render 4K be worth it? Because if it pushes up the price of the PS4 Pro by like £100, then to be honest, I'd rather sacrifice £100, get something that just perhaps upscales but very convincingly 4K, and have done with it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I don't know. It's all very strange.
It just doesn't seem like a purpose for it for current owners. I think it's just a bit of a gimmick, or for people that want to adopt VR.
Yeah, and again, that's very weird of them to come out and say, "Oh, by the way, it's going to work better with that £350 headset you've just bought." And it's like,
we knew they were going to do that.
Yeah, we did, but it's still sort of. And again, I'm not upset by this because that would be childish. It's just like, well, what do you expect me to do, Sony? I've just dropped £350 on this bloody headset. I'm not going to drop another £350 on a newer version of a console I already have to increase frame rate. I don't care. I just don't care.
It's fair enough.
But there we go. Are we happy? Are we happy there?
Yeah. Guys, let us know your thoughts on the PS4 and the PS4 Pro. We'd love to hear what you think about it as well in the comment sections down at the bottom.
Please do. In the meantime, let's move on to our big review, which is sort of a review in progress, actually. It's Destiny: Rise of Iron with Robert Ramsey. And joining me now on the phone, all the way from not far away, is Associate Editor of PushSquare.com, Robert Ramsey. Hello, Robert.
Hello, Ben.
How are you feeling today?
I'm good, Ben. How are you?
I'm all right. Did you have a nice day?
Yes, very boring.
You've been associate editing them articles?
Yeah, all two of them.
And I'd like to welcome you to the We're Not Cool Enough to Go to EGX Club.
Is that what this is?
Yeah.
I knew there was an ulterior motive here.
The pity party.
Yep.
Welcome to the pity party. But we're going to talk to you instead. We don't need those losers. We're going to talk to you instead about Destiny: Rise of Iron.
Yep.
Rise of Irene, who is the wife of Destiny.
Which is very powerful. The Rise of Irene.
The Rise of Irene. Which you've been playing. Obviously, you haven't had enough time to formulate a proper opinion to write up into a review just yet, but you have been playing for about 10 hours?
Ish, yeah.
That's what you told me. So, how are you finding it? Well, actually, first, what is it? What is this expansion?
Right, well, you know how they released the Taken King last year?
I do.
And that was kind of like a big rejuvenation. Get everyone playing Destiny for another year. Mm-hmm. And then like they supplemented it with, I think it was the April update and stuff like that earlier this year. So this is basically like Rise of Iron 2.0. Not Rise of Iron, the Taken King 2.0.
Right.
But it's not quite as expansive as the Taken King, which I think is reflected in the price. I don't think it costs quite as much, because I think the Taken King was about £30 and this is $24.
Right, okay.
So it's a big expansion, but it's not quite as big as the Taken King, which I suppose they expected, because they're only they've had 9 months to work on it, something like that. So, but it's good. It's just more Destiny, really.
Well, great. What a ringing endorsement. What's the premise then? What's happening? Who is Irene and why is she rising?
Right. Well, Irene is basically there's if you've ever played the Iron Banner in Destiny,
right,
which is the Crucible PvP thing that rolls around now and then. Basically, the guy who runs this guy called Lord Saladin, and Rise of Iron is kind of about this group of warriors called the Iron Lords who used to belong to, and he's the last one. And him and his all of his friends died sealing away this evil kind of mechanical virus thing called Siva.
Okay.
And now those bloody fallen have only gone in.
Those guys again.
Oh, them and their forearms. They've only gone and opened up the vault where it is and found it, and they're trying to control it, and they've enhanced themselves with cyborg enhancements, and
that doesn't sound good.
And basically, I think the campaign's about 5 missions. It only took me about an hour and a half to finish.
Really? Okay, so presumably it's all about the raids.
Yeah, it's like the Taken King did. It splits off into all these kind of separate side quests, and like obviously you work on building your light level up with better loot, and you find engrams, and you do the strikes, and then the raid's coming out tomorrow. So, so the campaign's basically like a freshers course into what Rise of Iron is,
right?
Much like the Taken King's campaign was, but it's not quite as long. Like I say, it's not quite as expansive.
Have you got any sick loot yet?
Actually, today I felt like I was in a bit of a rut last night because it's like the Taken King was. It's like walled off. Like so you can get blue engrams, but they'll only ever decrypt up to 340 light level.
Okay.
Which if you don't know Destiny, this is just going to sound like utter nonsense. But
even if you do.
Yeah, even if you do. So like there's like the light levels are walled off. So once you get to 340, you'll then find engrams that you can get to 365, I think. And then from 365, you'll find engrams that can get you to 385, and then you've got to use the raid or whatever to get all the way to 400. So it's like it's all capped off in these little stages, and that means that if you're just going around infusing all of your best equipment that you've had for the last year or so, you're going to level up really, really slowly. So it's kind of a case of grabbing what you can. If it's a higher light level, just to hell with the consequences and equip it. And then just keep going and going and going until you get to the raid level, and then you do the raid.
Okay.
So it's like the grind rejuvenated, really. But it's decent. I've found some good stuff.
And these are all new locations, I'm assuming, that you're playing in at the moment? They're not existing maps?
I think that there's a couple of missions in the campaign that take you back to Earth, and it's kind of just Earth but reskinned with a bit of snow.
Oh no, snow?
Yeah, snow.
Goodness.
Snow away.
Oh, get out.
And the new place, it's called the Plaguelands. That's like a whole new place you can explore, and like, you know, when you go on like patrols and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty big, pretty vast.
They made a real error not calling it the Playground.
The Playground. That would have been better.
It writes itself, doesn't it?
It does.
It writes itself.
I need you to go to the I've ruined it already. Go to the Playground, Guardian. The what? The Playground.
How is Nolan North Ghost doing?
He's alright. He's chatty as ever. I laughed because you know how in the original Destiny your character had a voice.
Yes.
They'd say a few things in cutscenes, and he'd just have like this kind of generic all-in-one either male or female voice.
Right.
And oh no, I think the races had different voices. Anyway, he didn't have many lines. In this, and in the Taken King as well, it's just like your ghost speaks for you, almost. So you'll be talking to a character, and he'll be like, and he'll say like some gobbledygook about some bloody faction. And then your ghost will go, why is that? And it's like, why didn't my character say, like, just standing there like a mute?
Maybe it's setting up for the next expansion where it's revealed that the ghost is actually you, and you're controlling this meat sack.
Meat sack.
The meat sack that's sort of just running around at your beck and call.
You do start off as a corpse, I suppose.
That is true. Destiny's a weird game, isn't it?
It is. It's dumb. It's a good game. It's good but dumb.
So, on the whole, your experience so far positive?
Yeah, I'd say it's like a solid expansion. I don't think it's quite as, like I say, it's not quite as expansive as the Taken King, and I don't think it offers quite as much content, but it's pretty solid for what it does. And when you think Bungie spent about 9 months making it, I'd say it's pretty good.
Yeah. And do you see yourself jumping into it with a load of people, even after the fact?
Yeah, I think the grind for better gear and stuff, and especially when the raid come out, that's gonna take a good few months up with most people playing it. You know, just on and off, jumping on with friends, doing strikes, that kind of thing.
Right.
So I mean, it's clearly aiming to just rejuvenate Destiny, which it has done for me at least.
Excellent. And might we expect a review at some point next week?
Yeah, I think early next week, after I've had a good chance to go over the raid and do these new strikes and stuff.
Excellent. Well,
there is a hands-on impressions on Push Square right now.
Oh, is there?
Whipped up this morning, but it's not greatly in depth or anything, but it's there.
Okay, and is that stickied right to the top?
It is right at the top.
Of course it is. Abusing his power once again. Associate Editor Robert Ramsey. Make sure you check back next week, pushsquare.com. Find that full review. Until next time, Robert, thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks, Ben.
So we come to the point in the show where I take a look at what's indie bin. This is where I look at the recently released independently developed games and see if they are indie bin or not indie bin.
Not D-bin.
Not D-bin.
What's on this week?
This week it's Dear Esther.
It's Esther.
Esther.
Yeah.
Landmark Edition. So this released a while ago and it has now been released on PS4.
Is this the first time it's been on PlayStation consoles?
Yes. It was only on PC.
Okay.
It's from the people that made Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, The Chinese Room.
Mm-hmm.
They are actually based in Brighton.
I like them. They're good.
Yeah. Well, we both really liked Rapture, didn't we?
Very much so. Jessica Curry did the music, right, for both of these games?
Yeah.
And she's fantastic.
Well, she's the co-owner of the studio as well.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
This released in 2012. And it essentially started my interest in gaming, aka the birth of the walking simulator. Everyone knows I love a walking sim.
Right.
And this is arguably the first one.
Okay.
It's very stripped back, and it came out of nowhere in a way in the gaming industry in general, because obviously everything was shooty bang bang, as it is now, granted. But this studio, this game dared to do something completely different and less. Where a lot of game studios try and do more, they tried to do more by doing less.
What's the premise then? Where's it set? What's the story? Who are you?
You are this old guy who has lost his wife, Esther, in a terrible car crash, and he's essentially reminiscing and coping and going through grief. And you experience the story of what happened through his internal monologues and the reading of letters that are all addressed to Esther, hence Dear Esther.
Okay, just out of interest, is the fact that she died in the car crash, is that a spoiler?
No,
is
that
established immediately?
That's general knowledge.
Okay, that's fine.
Summary of the game.
Cool.
The Landmark Edition comes, the thing that separates it via the slight graphical enhancement to be on the PS4. It comes with audio commentary from the developers, which is really, really cool for someone that's interested in not only the birth of the walking simulator, but also kind of what drove them to do that. Like, why would you risk that? Because it was a huge risk if you think about it. Right. But that in itself is really, really worthwhile, and I wish a lot more games did that. I love director's commentary on films, so it's nice to see that games are doing it too.
Yeah.
The story itself, obviously being the focal point, it's really interestingly told. Obviously, I mentioned it's through letters and monologues and internal monologues and such, but it's also the environment itself, because it's based in the Scottish Highlands.
Okay.
How
does it look?
Sorry?
How does it look?
Rough around the edges, but atmospheric as hell, I think, is the best way.
Right.
It's not anywhere near as pretty as Rapture was. Rapture was so special, and I think going backwards to it is a bit of a shock.
Right.
You do definitely walk into it with expectations of Rapture, and you've got to remember that Rapture was a native PS4 game. And this definitely wasn't. But it isn't overshadowed by that, I don't think.
Does it have any moments of tension or spookiness? Because sometimes, obviously, the studio has a pedigree of doing that, having done an Amnesia game.
Yes.
And also in Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, there were moments in that as well that were quite tense.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there anything like that in this?
I haven't finished it in its entirety yet. I take these things really, really slowly, and it's not a long game, but I really like to explore every nook and cranny.
Okay.
but so far not so much. It's eerie, definitely, because you're very isolated. You're on your own, but I don't know if you're on your own. Mm-hmm. So there is that sense. There's definitely that sense, which I think Rapture did as well. I remember first landing in Rapture and being really scared of everything because I wasn't sure if I was fully on my own.
Right, of course. How much is it at the moment, out of interest?
$7.99.
Oh, that's not bad. I'll buy that.
It's well worth jumping into. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's $7.99.
Okay. Well, it was originally reviewed 5 out of 10 by Liam Croft on pushsquare.com. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't.
You don't? Okay.
I think he was I think he hinged on its datedness.
Right.
Datedness? Its age.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Datedness. Yeah, his age. I think. I don't think it's aged well, but I don't think it's aged badly.
You don't think it affects the core?
No. I think if you haven't played Rapture, you're going to enjoy it even more. I think if you have played Rapture, guard your expectations and experience it as a predecessor, not a sequel. Because I think a lot of people will be walking into this expecting, obviously the way it's released, they'll be expecting some kind of a spiritual successor, but you've got to remember that this is the predecessor.
Uh-huh.
But no, it's fully out the bin for me. Of course it is.
It's out the bin. It lives to see another day.
Fire up the JPEG.
Fire up the JPEG, send it on over. Chinese room, you're out the bin.
That's their second one, isn't it?
What was the last one?
Have we done Rapture? Did we do Rapture?
Don't think so. I don't think we did. You did Firewatch. It's similar, but yeah, that's great. I'm glad to hear that because I had only seen the review and that had kind of put me off a bit. But okay, well, if you like that, I'll give it a go.
Yeah, you should. I think everyone should definitely taste the walking sim.
Cool. Dear Esther, Landmark Edition, out the bin. Let's move on to what we're playing. What are we playing, Mr. Tarrant?
What am I playing at the moment? I'm still playing Hyperlight Drifter.
Oh, bloody hell, mate.
I've started to go for a platinum on it, and when I say started, I'm still going for a platinum on it, and I've mopped up all but 3 now.
Nice work.
Yeah,
nice work.
I'm loving it. It's for a game with effectively no tangible story. It's really story rich. And I'm playing a lot of Rocket League as well, just because it's fun to jump in and out of.
Cool.
Yeah, I want to play some more Destiny. I'm really, really tempted to get into Rise of Iron.
Oh God, you're beyond help.
I know. I just every expansion I do this, I'm like, nope. Oh, maybe.
Not this time.
What about you?
I've actually started playing Final Fantasy X, the HD re-release. Never played it before.
Okay.
Not blown away, to be honest.
No.
I'm 8 to 10 hours in,
Jeez.
and it's all very bright and friendly and smiley and quite kiddie, to be honest. And I'm more accustomed to the dark grunginess of Final Fantasy VII, where they all hate each other and they're swearing and there's blood and violence and there's real peril and threat of doom. Whereas in this, I'm not getting that sense at all. Also, my biggest problem, I think, of all, is that Final Fantasy VII had text boxes. And that allowed you to not only give your own voice to the characters in your own head,
yes,
but also it allowed you to take it at your own pace.
Yeah, I like text boxes.
when you finish the text box, however long that might take, you press X and it moves on to the next text box, or the character will emote and it will move on to the next text box from another character, or what have you. In this is clearly the first time that they've done voice acting and properly animated cutscenes and stuff. So there are loads of weird, disjointed pauses and no facial expressions, awkward zooms and stuff, and it feels very wooden. And I understand it's the first time that they'll have done that, so it's going to be a weird transitional phase, and maybe at the time it would have blown people's minds. But the dialogue is appalling, like the script is horrid, and the voice acting is pretty terrible as well. And I just don't know. Like, I'm starting to enjoy the battle system, and I'm liking the whole leveling up thing, in that you don't actually go up levels, you get points to progress around sort of a kind of like a weird game board. Like a board game board, but as you go, you unlock skills and stuff, but it's branching paths, so you can choose which ways you want to go to unlock certain things, and I quite like that.
Strange.
But yeah, story-wise, character-wise, which are the most important parts of a Final Fantasy game, I'm really not feeling it.
Not ideal.
And I'm a little bit disappointed, to be honest. And I don't know if that's... I put a feeler out on Twitter, and the response was about a 50-50 split. 50% of people saying it's the worst thing ever, and I think Alex Stinton said he wanted to gouge his own eyes out.
Yeah, I saw that.
and then another 50% of people saying, I really liked it when I was younger. But I think that's the point, when you were younger.
When you were younger, yeah.
And when it was mind-blowing new technology. Going back, I don't think it's aged. But having played Final Fantasy VII back in January as they did the re-release on PS4, I think that's aged absolutely fine because of the text boxes.
Yeah.
And it's not so out of place.
Yeah.
And I think if anything's going to kill the PS4 remake of Final Fantasy VII, it's going to be the fact that they've added in voice acting.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be what trips it up. But there we go. That's what I've played. And I'd be interested to hear what people think about that because I just don't know. I'm going to keep playing it, but I don't know at the moment.
See how it goes.
I really don't know.
Still haven't played a Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I don't really want to put you anywhere near him, to be honest, after your absolute disaster with the Uncharted series.
I'm really stirring the pot with that on Twitter. Anyone talks about it.
Away.
Someone was just like, I've just finished Uncharted 4. And I was like, good, burn it.
Yeah, you're the worst. You're the worst. Complete ignorance over here. Complete ignorance. Let's move on to some audience questions. Question time. It's question time. If you have questions for us, don't forget you can go in the Push Square forums and we're stickied under the online and community section right at the top. Who's first?
Rudy Manchego.
Hooray.
What would be your pitch for a different historical aesthetic for a new BioShock game? Now, I really like this question because I think about this a lot.
Okay, what are your thoughts?
I still you've got to have a city and you've got to have a lighthouse. And we've gone up and we've gone down. So we're going to the moon.
Okay. Purpose of the lighthouse?
It could be the spaceport to get there.
Moon water. The moon sea.
No, it doesn't necessarily. It could be a tower. You could adapt it to be a tower.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking space is probably a good place to go.
Space is the only way we could go, really. You could go like proper far back and you could do like a medieval going through hell one.
Yeah, I suppose you could.
Dante's Inferno.
I saw Prey behind closed doors at Gamescom.
Oh yeah.
That game looks so much like a BioShock game. It's unbelievable.
Well, it's
just the aesthetic of the design of the space station and stuff all looks very Rapture.
Well, there's something about it, isn't there? Aren't they spiritually connected in some way?
Well, they're published by completely different publishers.
Right.
There's 2K and Bethesda, and I don't know really. There may be a connection there. You do have powers and stuff like that.
I feel like there was a connection, even with the old Prey. Nah, might be me.
No idea.
But yeah, space, I think.
Space is a good shout. I agree with that.
I think space.
I agree with that.
I really want to get the BioShock collection. I've got a real hankering to play them again.
A hankering for some, I don't know, something that rhymes with hankering. Plasmidzering. Rubbish.
Yeah.
Demeister says, do you guys think the ESRB is actually helpful and should people follow it?
So this is Peggy for us Brits.
Yeah, so I'm assuming ratings, right?
Yeah.
If age ratings should be followed. Age ratings should be completely at a parent's... Well, it should be just completely up to the parents, really, shouldn't they? I know most people who play games now played games that were older, that were too old for them when they were younger.
I used to play Quake 3 Arena at my dad's work on Bring Your Kid to Work day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, they're absolutely important. There are certain games that children should just not be playing.
Yeah.
And I think that they serve a valid purpose as a guideline of what people should and shouldn't play. Obviously, there are laws against selling those games to children, but there are no laws against selling those games to parents who then let their children play them.
No.
So if their parents are upset by what's in the game, then they've got no one to blame but themselves. If there was no ESRB or PEGI rating on them, then they could, well, take it up with the game publisher.
And that's their purpose, more so than protecting kids and stuff. It's about protecting the companies that make these games. Unfortunately.
Yes,
and
it is.
Like you said, it is entirely down to the parent. And you know what? So is everything illegal. You know, you want your 14-year-old kid to have a beer? That's down to the parent.
Yep.
Behind your front door in the privacy of your own home, that's your legal choice.
It's the wrong choice.
Yeah.
But it's your mistake.
Yeah. My parents introduced me to alcohol steadily.
Yeah,
Not
you've been,
14,
you've been drinking heavily since you were 12, though, so that's fine.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
London, what can I say?
Finally, the McNoisy asks, which video game character or game should our very own Royal Mail use?
Saying that, I was in post office today and I saw these Star Wars stamps and I really wanted the Stormtrooper one. I thought that was great.
So this is going back to the Witcher 3 stamps that are out. I actually bought some of those Star Wars The Force Awakens Special Edition stamp book sets.
Oh, you loser.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I saw them and I thought, oh, those are cool. And I said, oh, can I have 3 of those, please? Because I thought I'd buy one for my brother and me and I'll get one for a mate as well. 37 quid!
What, for 3?
For 3!
Yeesh.
I was like, because there was no price. I was like, how much can a book of stamps cost? Like 2-3 quid, maybe? £37.
That kind of makes sense, actually, because was it like a general book of like first class stamps?
Maybe. I don't even know.
Because they're like 12
put them in like a
quid,
vault, so they're safe forever because they're so worth so much now. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. What do you think? What do you think about this?
I'm just trying to think. What's like a quintessential British
Lara Croft.
game?
Lara Croft should be on a stamp, and I'm talking old school Lara Croft. I'm not talking new Lara Croft because people are like,
titties.
why is there a very very pretty girl on this stamp? Because it's sort of kind of photorealistic now. I think it should be, Lara Croft with her little sunglasses on, from the PS1 age. I think.
Yeah.
Or something like that
would be cool.
It's
not very British.
Not a British game. Maybe Sackboy, but it doesn't really have the market penetration. People don't really know him that well. I don't know. I think it'd probably be Lara for me. I think Lara would be the best choice.
You could do Assassin's Creed Syndicate. That chap.
You could, but then it's just a guy in a top hat. Could be
any
anyone.
old chap.
Yeah, it could be anyone.
I like Lara Croft. That's actually a good shout, especially polygon titties.
Well, I don't
Lara
think I stop saying polygon titties, and I don't think they would be featured heavily in the stamp, would they?
They should be.
Stop
It'd
it.
be funny.
Stop it. What about England captain Wayne Rooney's FIFA 17 in-game model?
What, his ear?
Just his ear. Just one ear. Like, what's that from? Oh, that's Wayne Rooney's ear from FIFA 17.
I don't think FIFA deserves a postage stamp.
Probably not. There are too many of those games. So you've got to get it right at some point, yeah? And if you do it every year, then one of them's going to be all right. Yeah, so you can't. That's kind of cheating in a way, isn't it?
I liked how Game had an offer if you traded in a PS4, like a normal PS4, and 5 games, you could get a PS4 Pro 50% off.
50% off, right, okay.
Yeah. But they stipulated that it could be any game with a little asterisk, and at the bottom it said, not FIFA. Because they obviously print so bloody many of them.
Yeah, probably. Wouldn't be surprised.
Because they go for absolute peanuts now. You can pick up FIFA 15 for like, what, 4 quid?
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah, you can. They go down very quickly.
There's some plank banging a plank
over
the way from me. I apologise for that.
Well, that's fine. No, let's keep Plankman in. Let's keep the Plankman in. And
let's wrap up the show.
Let's move on to the end of the show.
So, coming up on Push Square, we've obviously got the Destiny Rise of Iron official review. You got a kind of sneak look at that. I'm thinking this will go up before that.
Yeah, should be.
Yeah,
should
you lucky things then. You've got that early. Speaking of FIFA 17 review, that'll be there. Mm-hmm. And obviously EGX is happening right now.
Yeah.
So,
boo.
Boo, because we're not there.
Yeah, but Sammy and the gang are there, and they'll have some games that they're getting hands-on with, so expect some previews over the week or something.
Those Final Fantasy bird things called chocobos.
Yes.
Yeah, there's like mechanical chocobos there.
Are they really?
Yeah. I think they're chocobos. They're big yellow bird things, but they're really cool. They all got to see them, and I've seen some pictures of them sitting on Trico's legs from Last Guardian.
Okay, hope they have a horrible time. All of them. Hope they fall over and graze their knees.
Oh, yeah. What a threat.
The light grazing.
Anyway, where else can they find all this great PlayStation content?
Oh, thanks for asking, Mr. Tarrant. If you want all that coming straight to your social media feeds, then follow us on Twitter at PushSquare or on Facebook.com/PushSquare. And if you want to see rather than read, go to youtube.com/pushsquare. If you're lazy like me, I didn't say it in time, did I? It's where you can find streams, vlogs, and other video form shenanigans. And I know Mr. Barker, Editor Barker, has been very busy there recently. There's all sorts of good stuff there, so go and check it out. But what if they'd like to hear more of us?
The Push Square podcast can be found on SoundCloud.
You did it again.
I did it again.
SoundCloud.
Yeah. Stitcher, and the iTunes. And It'd be really cool if you could leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, because we literally feed off of ego points.
Yeah, we need the ego points to live and breathe.
Yeah. You're literally feeding us.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
you all very much. So there we go. I think that's it, right? Make sure you keep it logged to pushsquare.com. The best PlayStation site on the internet, and if anyone tells you otherwise, you can punch them in the face. That's a rule. Oh, slightly out of time. You want to do that again? That's a rule. Come on, you can do it. 3, 2, 1. That's a rule. There we go. We did it in the end. Cheers, Tarrant.
Thanks, Potter.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Push Square Podcast. For the latest PlayStation news, reviews, and features, visit www.pushsquare.com.